right, meeting is starting. All right, so there's no clock in here anymore.
I'm sorry to hear.
There.
3 o'clock, yeah. So meeting called to order at 3 o'clock. There are no members of the public here, so we can skip that. Did everybody get the March minutes?
I guess I'm doing the minutes.
You are, yes, thank you.
No,
And
I
I-
didn't see the launch meeting.
I sent them out a while ago.
Oh, okay, well, I missed them.
Take a look at them. I need to put them back in my book.
So you're starting the meeting?
Well, I want you to look at that so we can vote on it.
I'm expecting you're going to be reporting on the town of Selectmen's meeting.
You can watch it on TV.
We watched it at home after so I wanted Linda to know about this district attorney that was reporting.
That was interesting, yeah.
Yes, it was very interesting. I wanted her to know what a good job you did.
In the end, Jeff Handler said he was afraid of me.
Who was?
Jeff Handler. He's a select person.
Oh. What'd you say?
I don't know. All right, so,
No, I saw that.
okay,
I'm okay with it.
okay.
Yep, can I get a copy of whatever this letter is that you were talking about?
I can forward it to you, but you can read it right now.
I would like to actually have a copy of it.
Why don't you
No,
forward
no.
it to him?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, forward it to all of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
we can-
So,
And then I read it right now.
are there-
If you wouldn't mind, please.
yeah, all of us would,
Yep.
so we can keep it in our record. So, anything, additions, subtractions, corrections to the March minutes?
Yeah.
All in favor of accepting the March minutes?
Aye.
All right, so I can post those, and we're good on that. All right, Board of Selectmen meeting,
My opinion, I thought your presentation was excellent. And the fact that you had that PowerPoint, which was your roadmap all
Mhm.
along, and you were talking and you had the people concentrating, you know, on
She
the
did an
program.
excellent job.
Excellent, excellent. And you had a lukewarm response.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
thing is,
problem
why
not-
did you have
not
the
Valerie, it's the board.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the thing is, why did you have
Well, it wasn't the entire board.
I know.
Don Howell,
Julie Kavanaugh
Julie
and Don
Kavanaugh,
Howell were
and
in favor.
Jeff Handler would.
Was in favor.
Yeah, they would have
He was in
done
favor
something.
until McCaskill.
Well, then McCaskill said, well,
And
we don't really
Pikarsky.
have enough information, you know, after I give them. And what really frosted me was that in their packet
They
were
had everything.
detailed information about everything.
Well, let me
you
come
know.
to my point. My point is that we need to be in touch with the select board on a continuous basis.
I've already
Because
emailed them.
this is
Yeah.
what, we have this problem here.
Right.
Because Power can do whatever he wants and things can sit on his desk for 2 years
Yeah.
and nothing happens. So this topic, I think it called to present it to the board and compare it with Chatham.
Yeah. Well,
Because that illustrates.
Here's the thing that we have to keep in mind right now, is that 2 people are leaving the board
I
next
know.
month, and 2 new people are coming on. And I'm not gonna, and we have the town warrant, so I'm not gonna waste my energy talking to the select board now.
Who are the two that are leaving?
Julie Kavanaugh and,
Mark Kelleher.
no, he's running, McCaskill, I think. is-
You want the ones that are here.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of a wash for what you would probably.
Right, but the 3 people who are running are all Democrats, every single one of them. And it's Katie McManus, who's like 29 years old, firecracker. Her dad is Ed McManus. He's been a select board. He's very active in, you know, state democratic situation. So she's no novice to politics, I think, and she's the most excited about any of our energy
Oh, terrific.
projects because she's young. She understands,
Yeah.
you know.
Supposed to live.
So you've talked to her?
Oh yeah. I've personally talked to all 3 candidates.
Good.
Um,
You're really getting active in this stuff.
Right. Well, because I'm going to be going to work soon, so I have to get all of this done before I go.
Is there anybody running against her?
There's 2 positions and three
The
people
three
running.
candidates.
So Kate McManus, I think for many, many reasons. Number one, she's definitely a big supporter of climate and energy issues. She's young, you know, and we need to get that perspective because it's her generation that's suffering the most with this housing crunch and all of that.
Can we put anything like that in the minutes?
No, I'm just pontificating.
I
I'm
know,
just
but
saying.
If
what-
anybody reads it, maybe they ought to know this.
Right.
No.
Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt that we are in favor. What you can say is that we are supportive of anybody who is running that takes climate change seriously.
Of course.
That's good. That's good.
course.
Yeah.
Well, I myself decided that it wouldn't be a bad idea to organize a candidates forum for the three new candidates to talk specifically about climate change and our situation or our reality.
I have talked to all three candidates about
Yeah,
this.
well, that's terrific.
Right.
But I decided to do it.
Yeah, good.
And
Yeah.
someone suggested that instead of me doing it by myself and getting two people in the room,
Right.
to join the League of Women Voters,
Yep.
who has a gathering
Yep.
organized for the 15th of May.
Yep.
And I will ask my questions, and I invite other people to ask
Yep.
questions
Yep.
on climate change that
Yep.
day also, because you're
Yep.
entitled to ask, I think, one or two
Yep.
questions.
Yep. No, that's a
And
good
also,
thing. Yeah.
And also, I contacted Ray Godwald
Mm-hmm.
and asked him if he would read my questions to the group. And he said, no, I won't read your questions. You will read your questions. And he told me that they're going to meet on May 10 at 10 a.m. in a house there on Chatham Road. It's called South something
Yeah.
Harwich.
Yeah.
What organization is that?
It's the Democratic and
Go-
Republican Candidates Forum.
Oh.
Yeah, I have been to 3 forums already.
Mhm.
I've talked personally to all 3 candidates.
Mhm.
So I will not be at that one because I will be at work.
Well, that's
And so
but
you
the
will-
more the merrier.
Yeah.
And I would like to feel, support from the community.
Well, I mean, that
But we will
part
see.
of our
We will see.
part of our problem here in Harwich is that we don't have
support the community.
the support of as many of the community as we would like. We're not a Wellfleet or an East Ham or a Truro, where
or
most of
Wales.
the population is very forward thinking and they
Mm.
like this kind of thing and they very much
Mm.
support it.
Mm.
We have here in
Angel
Harwich,
Powers.
we have people who are maybe not as well informed. You
Yeah,
know?
that's what I think. It's basically ignorance.
Yeah. So anyway,
And change is uncomfortable.
right,
Yep,
That's another thing.
it, especially with old people.
right, and anything that they
uncomfortable. Well, I'm old, but
and if they
I'm the
I-
oldest here.
I'm tolerating the changes.
and anything that sniffs like it's going to cost some kind of money at some point,
Yes.
this town is
No.
very averse to, and I can understand it because you cannot indefinitely raise the tax rate. That is not sustainable. People cannot just over and over and over and
Yeah, but
over
you see
and over
this
again.
remodeling here and new furniture
Right,
here.
right.
and-
Well,
Huh?
so anyway, the other candidates that I have talked to, Mark Kelleher, he has been on the finance committee for many, many years. So he has a very good understanding of the finances of Harwich
And the topics.
and the topics. He is a Democrat and he is, definitely cares about climate and all of that, but he's not as enthusiastic as, let's say, Katie, who's young and feels more urgency.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
He's more sedate, when it comes to those types
Yeah.
of things. And then Anita Doucette, who's the third candidate,
She was the former town clerk.
yeah, she is, talk about understanding how Harwich works. She has got institutional knowledge as far as like how to get things done in Harwich. Unfortunately for us, she's of a generation that doesn't really know anything about climate or energy issues, not because she's against it, she just is,
Yeah, she hasn't experienced
she hasn't
it.
experienced, she was, to be honest, she was there when I did the Board of Selectmen presentation. She was in the room, she heard it all. You know, I did tell her that, you know, she needs to get up to speed on it when I met with her another time. She sent me a little thank you card, you know, for, you know, bringing it to her attention, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, I think all three people could be better than who's there, you know, so I don't think we can lose. It's just, you know, amongst those, you know, Anita with the 30-something years of institutional knowledge, but not as much in energy. Mark, who understands the finances and maybe would understand the need for a grant writer. He even told me he thinks that we need a grant writer.
That's
Because we
terrific.
lose out. That's how Chatham got their charging stations. They had somebody who was, I don't know who, but they had somebody who was willing to pursue this money. And then, of course, Katie, who's, you know, just has the energy, and she's young, and she runs her own business, and she's, you know, feels the urgency. So I definitely recommend all of you, and you're already going to do it, go to these forums, talk to these people, ask your questions, because they need to feel like, and we're not the only ones, by the way. The Harwich Climate Action Network, they have met with the building inspector, they have met with the candidates, they have written letters to the editor. They, you know, so they are also in our court. And because they're a private organization, they're not constrained by like open meeting laws and, you know, that type of thing.
Did they talk at the last selectmen's meeting?
No, but we'll get to
I think
that.
there was a bunch of them there because a whole
Oh,
bunch of
there was a
people
whole bunch of them there, yeah.
walked out as she finished up.
Right.
So they were there to support.
Oh, yeah,
They were all
yeah.
clapping for her and everything else.
Yeah.
I listened to the thing on
Okay, so
the,
they were there.
on the Channel 18. Go back here and listen to it.
Yeah. So I think it went as well as can be expected, given our situation. I have already emailed them twice with just updates, and a really cool thing that happened. In order to be a climate, what do you call it? A climate leader, there's a list of 6 criteria. And originally we thought we only met 2 of those. But I got in touch with the state. And these are the 6 criteria. You have to be a green community, which we are. All right? And you have to have a local energy committee, which, you know, we're it, you know, but. And then the 3rd one is you have to commit to elimination of on-site fossil fuel use. So we had, in 2020, town of Harwich had a resolution at town meeting. Now, they were, at the time, they were attempting to get this accepted as a bylaw. That did not fly. But Deb Enos, who's an active member of the Climate Action Network, she recommended that we not put it as a bylaw, but put it as just a non-binding resolution. It did pass. So I sent this to the state, and they're allowing us to use this
Wow.
as this 3rd criteria,
Oh, that's pretty
which
good.
I've already told the selectmen. So
What is
we're
missing?
halfway there, you know, and this roadmap thing is what I want them to apply for.
So wherever they have to take action is where we're stuck.
Is where we get stuck, right? Although
Did you ever
Jeff,
get any feedback from this Don Howell, who's supposed to be our liaison? Does he ever give you any positive feedback?
he always tells me, oh, they'll never do anything, they'll never do
Is that what
anything.
his feedback is?
Yeah.
He should be pushing, supporting. He's supposed to be our
Yeah.
liaison.
He would have supported us. He was one of the ones that if they had decided to take any kind of action at my presentation, he would have supported that.
Yeah, he
But-
said it in the hands of the board or in
But
so many
but he
words.
wouldn't put himself out there. So anyway,
Is there a date for number 5
July
July.
25th
of when? This year?
this year. You're kind of behind on this thing. So this create a decarbonization roadmap. The state will give us
Yeah,
free
Yeah, I was at the
Help.
last meeting that you
Yeah.
covered that, so that
Yeah.
I recall, but.
So
for-
that we need to have this grant application
Yep.
in by July 25th.
Okay, but this one adopt.
No, there's no.
There's no date on
No,
that.
you just, when you do your roadmap, you're gonna
We'll
say,
include that in
by 2030, we're gonna have this done,
Okay,
you know? They're not telling you have to have it all done like right now.
yeah, okay.
You just need to commit to some
It's a
timeline.
long-term plan.
It's a long-term plan. So, and I did get an email back from Jeff, still asking me more questions about the intern, the summer intern that the HCAN people think would be very helpful. And that summer intern could help write the grant for the roadmap, you know.
That's an add-on because it
It's-
so happens to be so.
Right. So, and I did. So anyway, so I am following up with them. I am.
Somebody's gotta work with the guy. He can't just send some kid from high school or something in here.
Oh, these are college kids, but yes.
Well, okay, but when the town gets an intern, okay, someone is filling out the application for that
It's the
intern.
town.
But who's the town? Is that?
Joe Powers,
Joe
at the direction of the Board of Selectmen. Jeff Handler seems to be taking, I'm hearing back from him, you
Okay.
know? So he seems to
good.
be responding
That's fantastic.
to me, unlike like Joe Powers, which it goes off into the ether and then you never hear again.
So Jeff Handler would be the guy that
He's
this
the
kid
chair.
might be reporting to?
He's the
Exactly.
chair, right?
Okay.
Or I would, my feeling is Jeff would assign somebody like Sean Libby to be this person's, because it would be Sean Libby who'd have to be getting most of the information for
The
this.
famous roadmap.
Right, to do that, and we're not talking high school kids, these are college kids, which they should be fairly independent, you know.
And this college guy you're talking about is the guy who Pam Latimer is going to house?
If we get one, and who knows if we don't know if it's to be a
Yeah,
boy or a
because
girl or.
Remember
yeah.
that Pam Latimer attended once
Yeah.
this meeting, so you know her.
Yeah,
She and her husband volunteered to house that person.
Because you have to provide housing.
Which
for-
is a phenomenal economy.
oh, so the person actually has to live here in Harwich?
Yeah, they'll be
Right.
living right, and her house is not
Right
within
there.
walking distance of the town hall and all
He
of
could
that.
bike here.
Right.
Well,
So anyway, so that
We've done this. Where I worked, we used to bring in engineering interns. Number one, they're ready to graduate, so they're very sharp. They're as good as any other employee. I mean, they're
Right.
very good,
Right.
you know, but the whole key to it will be who is asking, who is the ask in for that individual?
right.
Of what they want that kid to do, you know, so that's the important thing, because, you know, where I worked, there might be a different engineer each year that would have the intern. And that intern might be getting any one of dozens of assignments for different departments, you know, in the town, at least in our case.
I even filled out the application for the intern and sent it to. I can't send it in because I do not have the authority to send it in. I filled it out, made a copy of it, and sent it to Jeff. And I said, "Here's some suggestions on," because you have to tell them what you want the intern to do, you know. And so I put in.
When I worked at GE, I was getting an intern for one summer, and GE had a policy at that time that they didn't want white males progressing anywhere, so all their interns had to be non-white males. They could be females, or they could be foreigners or anything. I ended up with this guy from Afghanistan, and he comes in to me after a couple of weeks, and he says, I'm Muslim, and I go to the shop, what do they call it?
Mosque.
Mosque on Fridays. And he says, okay if I take off? And I says, well, you're supposed to get your job done here. You're supposed to work 40 hours. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I'm going to tell you you're going to be rated on how you get your job done and the amount of hours you put in here. So you figure out how you're going to do that and meet that
Right.
requirement. I was kind of be evasive, but
Right,
I was,
right.
Annoyed. I would be annoyed. I mean, come on.
no, I wasn't, I guess.
Well, he's an engineer. Figure it out, you know.
But what you were saying is something that should be considered once this person is on board, right?
No, what I'm saying is that if the town is considering getting this person,
Mhm.
okay, who in the town, it could be somebody from the DPW, it could be anyone,
Right.
is looking for help with something. And so, oh, we got an intern coming in, I've got something for them to work on. That's the problem, is the fact that you might be competing with other people in the town, and you want to get first in the queue
Well,
to say,
yeah.
hey, this is something that would be perfect for the intern to do, you know, and lay it out for.
Well, this particular program is very, very specific for Clement.
You're talking about the intern that's coming in?
So maybe you
So it's
could
not a
do-
generic intern?
No,
So
this
maybe
is
you
very
could-
specific.
Okay. I
You
didn't
could
know
do
that.
something by introducing him the first day to Sean Levy.
Right, and, you know, should we ever get that far? But
Yeah.
at least I have heard back from Jeff.
Mhm.
He asked me the other, just like yesterday, I think I got an email, is like when the due date is for the intern application. And I don't have the program doesn't have like, I think, a hard cutoff. I think they're looking to see who's interested. Anyway, so I'm working on that. So I think in general, I think the Board of Selectmen presentation went well, but definitely I'm following up. Definitely we should be looking forward to the new board, whoever that is. And once the new board is sworn in, you know, I will circle around and come back.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna put in the minutes that the presentation was outstanding.
There you go. In case anybody wants to read it. All right, there are no Cape Light Compact updates. Everybody saw the news this winter when everybody lost their minds over their energy bills. Remember, it was on the news. Channel 5 did, you know, some kind of investigative reporting as to why all these bills were so high, and the governor got involved, and she said
Is that why I
no.
got that $50?
Yes. Yeah.
It is.
So,
I have a question along those
Yeah.
lines. I think that Eversource is abusing us, having reached their delivery amount, which is 3 times more than the supply.
right.
And someone should stop them or control them or look at them.
Right, but that they're business, you know, and those are, what do they call that? Lost asset recovery? What's that?
Yeah, but the sky is the limit.
Yeah,
Years ago, and they didn't even break it down, you just got a
Right, this is
bill
what you owe.
for kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
delivery charge is higher than the
Right.
the
So-
energy.
65% higher.
Well, it's probably higher for you because you get some return from the collectors.
well, anyway, we have no control over what Eversource does. That is a state, that you have to talk to the state DPU, you know, the Department of Public Utilities. They're the regulatory agency that deals with utilities.
I was told the other day by someone that the state is suing Eversource for this abuse. And it doesn't sound true to me.
Well, I mean, I don't know about suing, but I
That
mean,
would be a dream.
they, in order to operate within the state, they have to meet certain regulatory criteria put out by the Department of Public Utilities, right? Everybody does, you know, whether you're the gas company, the electric company, doesn't matter who you are, there's a regulatory
falls under that,
agency that monitors and regulates what you do. So it will be interesting to see, you know, how we go. Now, how does that affect Cape Light Compact? Well, in order to claw back money, you know, to send you your $50, they took it out of Mass Save. Now, Mass Save is, if you look on your electric bill, it's not a very big charge.
Like many churches.
Yeah, you have many charges, but the Mass Save charge would be your energy efficiency charge. And that money is what gets pooled and sent to like Cape Light Compact, for example, so they can come and do your energy audit and not charge you, all right? Or do the weatherization or do that kind of thing. So Cape Light Compact, when they're developing their 3-year plan, which would include a 3-year budget, you know, they operate off of, they're going to get so much from this energy efficiency fund. Well, Cape Light Compact had to go back and redo their budget because they've been nicked, I don't know, a couple $1 million. You know, so not 100% sure how that's going to play out for the public, you know, and if it's going to, you know, be fewer energy audits? I don't know yet. Nobody really knows yet. But there is some fallout to that. And you're right. Most of the people, it's not what you're paying for electricity, because that's relatively low.
Mhm.
It's all those other charges. And of course, somebody has to pay for the wires and the telephone poles and the maintenance and the, all of that, and the trucks and the billing, people that print the bills and take care of all the accounts, and and they're introducing smart meters. They're starting in the Western Mass, and they're, I guess, moving east, and all of that costs money. So it's a catch-22. It's
In the old days, when I was working in Connecticut, the way it worked was that you had a DPUC. It was called something else in Connecticut. But what would happen is that Eversource, or at the time Northeast Utilities, would go through a rate case. And they would do that every so many years. And that rate case is where they would ask for more money, 3%, 4%, whatever it was they were asking for more money. And the DPUC could say, go pound sand. And then Eversource or Northeast Utilities said, okay, well, then we're going to lay off a whole bunch of people, and that reliability is going to go down because we're laying off a whole bunch of
the
people.
stockholders will still be fine.
And then when you talk about the CEO of Eversource, the argument will be that, oh, wait a minute, it's the shareholders who pay his salary, which is just, it's a good answer, but you're right. The cost of electricity used to be the generation. That was the biggest number.
Not
And
anymore.
it's flip-flopped, and that's not right.
But it goes up like this. It's not like this. It's like this.
Well, it does need to, with inflation, it should follow the same curve as inflation, because let's
It
say.
has gone up more than the inflation.
No, I'm not defending them. I'm just saying that if fuel prices go up a certain amount, then they need an increase just to be able to buy fuel for their trucks. But if all of a sudden they're asking for the moon, the GPs, you bought new trucks last year. You don't need $10 million for new trucks. Forget it.
Yeah.
So,
There's another thing that's at work here, which, again, it's another double-edged sword. As we bring on more solar and distributed energy production, and as we electrify, like we're telling people, you should stop using fossil fuels, you should have heat pumps, you should use electric stoves, you should drive an electric car. As more and more people switch to that, the old grid system wasn't built for that. It wasn't built for that. And so besides smart meters, which is part of what they call grid modernization, grid mod, and they're required. The state is requiring Eversource, National Grid, all those people, Unitil, I think National Grid, Eversource, and Unitil are the ones that serve Massachusetts, to modernize the grid. And to modernize the grid, now you're talking about investment in the structure.
Huge
Huge investment. And so it's at the same time that people are getting hit, because we had a very cold winter, and so people were running whatever equipment they had more than usual. And then we have, these fees going up, and it's just the perfect storm of people got whacked, this winter. And I'm not sure what the answer is, because if you don't modernize the grid, then it doesn't happen. I mean, you can't support electrification. But who's paying for this? It's going to be the ratepayers. The ratepayers are that's the buck stops there.
Yeah.
Now, I have been told, and I don't know much about this part of the
But
business.
however, once you get it all updated to a more structured system, the prices ought to go down, so they're not paying, if they paid off all the loans that they took out for that equipment, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I have been told that investing in like an Eversource, like stocks and things like that they have a higher return than almost anything else that you can invest in. Something like a 10% return on your money.
I bought Nextera
Yeah.
Energy, which is the one that
Right.
people that come. I bought it it was Florida Power and Light back down in Florida many, many years ago. And the thing is just going like that.
Yeah.
Florida Power Lights look very well.
Yeah. So anyway,
They're taken over by next era.
yeah. So Cape Light Compact is dealing with, having to adjust their budget and dealing with, different things. The other problem is this Cape Light Compact. When Cape Light Compact first formed, there was nothing like it in Massachusetts. There were no other aggregators. And now the entire state is divided up into aggregation units. The state now wants all the aggregators to do exactly the same thing. They don't want Cape Light Compact doing one thing and somebody else doing another, and they want it all uniform. And so a lot of some of the more progressive programs that Cape Light Compact came out with, won't happen anymore because everybody has to do the same thing. Although one of the things that Cape Light Compact did, and it took us 3 years to get it approved, was designing programs for low-income and moderate-income consumers, where Cape Light Compact would cover the whole cost of electrification. So they'd get their audit, they'd get their weather sealing, and then Cape Light Compact would pay for the solar panels, the heat pumps, and the whole 9 yards. And in some cases, even storage batteries. Now, we were going to do it I think for 100 people. The state said, oh no, we'll give you permission to do it for 20 people or something like that as a pilot. But it got picked up nationally, and it ended up in all kinds of national publications, and so it became, so the state now I think thinks it's a good idea. So that may happen. But
What's the point of homogenizing the aggregate?
it's easier to regulate.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, easier to keep track of, And so you will not, just because you live in, Leominster, you should not get any less service than if you had lived in Harwich. Just because you have a different aggregator. So they're trying to make sure that everybody has access to this. So more as things come up, it's Maggie Downey is retiring, so that's going to be a big blow to the.
Who is she?
She's
That
has
guy?
been the head of Cape Light Compact since its inception. We've never had any other director, so finding somebody to take the reins, that's going to be a biggie. And we don't know what the future of a Cape Light Compact is. It really, it's kind of up in the air right now. But they're still, doing their energy audits and, helping you get your rebates. And they do have, they're trying their very best, when you call, and again, the state is clawing back some money, so it affects services. But they're trying to help people find the right path. If you want to get a heat pump, a whole house heat pump, to understand which grant program, which rebate program do you qualify for, so, because there's so many things out there. But more on that as it unfolds. And have you been to any CVAC meetings recently?
No, but there's a big all-day meeting in the first week of May.
Are you going to be healthy enough to go?
I am going to go to that.
Okay.
And then depending upon when I get out of that,
Right. You can.
I'll
oh, look.
either hand it over to somebody or I'll
Right.
do the same thing and say, give me a
Yep.
6-month leave
Yep.
of absence or something.
And we can try to rustle up somebody if you.
I'll make it to the next meeting
Okay.
and I'll let you know.
All right, the EV charging station update, you've updated us on that. I did send out that article, from Chatham.
That was such a good article.
And like you said, it could have been us.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
But it wasn't. So that's that.
When did you start the effort on
Oh, it was 2 years ago.
Recently.
Valerie started it.
Yeah.
And it was more than 2 years ago.
I remember that we talked about it because I have my Tesla. and I talked about that a lot.
Yeah, so
You
it's,
need to-
it's the town has an inability to move forward on things.
Mm.
That, and I think it has a lot to do with the town administrator. You know, what he chooses to do and not to do. And he's kind of passive aggressive, you know, I mean, he smiles and shakes your hand and, you know, so, oh, that sounds great. And then you never hear from him again. But it also has to do with the fact that the board is just, I don't know, they just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And when McCaskill, was it McCaskill that said he stopped the whole, you know, when I did the presentation, well, I just don't know enough about this. I had all I could do, not to say, well, if you read your freaking packet, you would have all the information. I did not say that.
Just a joke.
No, it's
Oh,
McCaskill, you know. Joe was on, but Joe, you know, he says, sure, you know, this
It
time.
affected Jeff. McCaskill affected Jeff.
So,
That's
and
what
then
you're
they,
supposed to do when you go to any kind of a meeting, when you go to school, you read the text ahead of time, you do the homework, you're prepared.
they
when you
never
get-
do their homework. They
Yeah.
never do their homework. It's like, and it's not just me. I mean, I've seen other people get up to talk to them, and it's like they have never heard of this before. And I know for a fact that in their packets, it's all kinds of information. Nobody, the ladies in the office down there, they make sure they have all the information for the, you know.
They work, those poor girls.
Yeah. You know, they make these packets up, and well, it's not like they get them at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, they get them ahead of time. I had to turn it in like a week ahead of time.
Yeah, it's a question of motivation, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so hopefully any new people we get in there know how to do their homework. Our role in sustainability other than the climate leader program. Now, I think the climate leader program is important because it is municipal. And we are a municipal committee, you know, so I think our first obligation is to the town. Now, having said that, sustainability goes far beyond climate. It includes housing, it includes open space, it includes clean water, it includes wastewater. It includes a myriad of other things that makes a place sustainable or livable. We can't do it all. We are an energy and climate action committee. So my feeling is if we want to support other things, we do that as private citizens.
What about stuff like hurricane preparedness and stuff like this? I mean, I was-
Well, you can wrap that
I thought it
into
was supposed to be
climate.
climate action thing.
Right. Anything,
Right,
that would be in our purview because it's anything to do with climate, but things like housing. But housing, it's like we can weigh in, like we did with Pine Oaks. Remember when he came and we questioned
Well,
him?
we questioned him how he's gonna lay out the buildings, whether he's gonna lay them out for solar.
Right, and he answered all our
exposure
questions,
and
yeah.
stuff, and he's gonna make them energy efficient. We
Right,
can ask those
right.
kind of questions.
That's where our role is. But we can't get involved in the back and forth argument of whether they should be built or not built or, you know, that type of thing. There's a whole nother committee whose job it is to do that. So, and there's only 4, now 3.5 of us. You know, so we really do have to, you know, do what's doable.
Weren't we supposed to get some other committee members?
It's always open for
I
some.
mean, no, but I mean, didn't somebody have some input?
I sent, I mean, one woman who
It was, you said there was a presentation you made where a guy
Yep.
expressed interest or something.
was a woman, and I sent her the information, but I never heard back. Yeah. So if you ever run into somebody at a cocktail party who's interested,
Cocktail parties, do we have those anymore?
I don't drink, so I
I don't drink either.
so none of us get invited to cocktail parties. But anyway, so I think that the more focused that we can be on climate and energy, the more effective that we're going to be. And I think like picking one thing like climate leader, you know, because if you look at that list of things that we have to do to be a climate leader, it covers a broad spectrum of, it would make the town better
Oh, definitely.
if they bought into it. And it would give them more money. They like money, so. Anyway, I'm going to be at the Health and Environmental Fair this Saturday, and I'll be doing,
Do you need us to support you? Do you need, do you want, are you gonna be there the whole time? Do you want us to?
well, I'm doing a presentation at 1:30, a modified version of what I did for the Board of Selectmen.
Do you want somebody in there? Is there a booth or something?
There's going to be a table, and I'm not sure I even know what to put at the table. I can go and
What are you talking about?
every year we did it last year as a health and environmental
It's
fair.
11 to 2, right?
Yeah. At the
Earth
204,
Day.
yeah,
The
for
Earth
Earth Day thing is
Uh,
11.
Do you
it's-
want us, any of us, coming in there and helping you or not?
Sure,
Do
but
you want us to come in for the whole time period or for
you can
part of
pick a
it?
time. If you can come for the morning or come for the afternoon.
If we're
or-
each gonna come in for an hour or something like that, that might be better than if we all came in for the same.
Oh yeah, no. So on Saturday? Do you have an hour available?
I'll come in at 11 or something,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, say to 11 to 12.
At 11 to 12. Are you available for an hour or so on Saturday? And not you. Okay, so I'll see you. And the other thing, is if we are going to be visible to the public, we've got to be out there doing stuff, and I can't be the only one out there doing stuff. So that's something to think about.
Well, what I'm going to be doing with candidates.
Yep, and you can report
is
back to
that
us.
idea. My idea
Yeah.
is to educate these people before
Right.
they come on board.
Yeah, and see if anybody's interested in being on the committee. Start working the crowd.
Yeah. It's a tough one. But I've talked to many people and I don't know, maybe that might motivate someone, you
Mhm.
know.
Well, I think there's a lot of interest in this climate leader program. Outside of the four of us, and the Harwich Climate Action Network. Particularly Pam Latimer and Deb Enos. They've been very supportive, and they'll be there. Our tables are together. But nothing that we talk about in this room really will matter if we don't get out and get something happening outside.
Oh, absolutely. That's
know.
why
Yeah.
I meant to say, and I didn't say it, that in order to stay in touch with the Board of Selectmen, it would be worth you talk to them every 3 months and tell them what we're doing.
Yep.
Even if it is 3 phrases. But this is
Right.
what we're doing. Stay
Yeah.
in touch.
Yeah.
You know?
What day is the election for the board?
May 20th, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just filed an absentee ballot because we're going on
Right,
this
on the cruise, yeah.
And I asked her when would I receive the absentee ballot. If I don't get it before I go, I can't vote. And I definitely want to vote for this person, but
Yeah.
they won't even give me that answer. They said, well, whenever we receive them from the state, that's what the answer was.
Ah,
Yeah, it doesn't depend.
hopefully
on
soon. Yeah. So anyway,
When are you leaving?
May 5th,
Oh, you should be okay. I
Yeah.
think.
flying to Amsterdam and then from there
Are you
to
taking
Budapest.
the cruise down there? Okay.
Amsterdam to Budapest. We're going on the Rhine, the Main.
Oh, that's
the
is
Main
this a Viking
Canal.
cruise
Yeah,
or?
it's a Viking
Yeah.
cruise.
Yeah.
It's a tour of Europe or something
You
like that.
received a million brochures in your mail?
Yeah, probably. I've been reading all these books and folders and stuff like that about how to pronounce the word for men's room and ladies' room in Hungarian.
Use your phone. You have a translator. on
You
your
Google
phone.
Translate.
If you have to go to the bathroom, don't you want to know what door is supposed to go in?
Oh, you will figure
Maybe
it
there'll be a
out.
little picture.
Yeah. You will be a man.
We were just in Spain and Portugal.
Ah,
A
that's
couple
true.
weeks
How
ago.
did it go?
Oh, it was fantastic, but the one thing that I noticed was the fact that everything is geared around bathroom breaks, and that there's no such thing as free bathrooms.
Really?
You have to
You have to pay to use a bathroom?
So the tour guide will coordinate certain stops at certain places, and he might have to go in and prepay a certain
Right.
amount so that you can now use the bathroom. Another place, they had this guy, not a guy, but they had this really nice shop that was making gold jewelry and whatnot, so the fellow was hammering and making little ornate things. So the deal there was the fact we could use their bathroom because we'd have to listen to 10 minutes or 5 minutes of him presenting the work that he's doing.
Hoping that you would buy
Hoping
something.
you're gonna buy something, and then they'd let you use their bathroom. So, I mean, like, it seems like it's every hour that he's going, and I mean, that was the big thing for him, it was timing. I'm sitting there going, Jesus Christ, I mean, I can hold it for a while, but this idea of having to go every hour, I guess maybe when I'm 90, I won't be able to, but I mean, but they're really planning around that. That was the one.
And this was with Goya Museum, or?
This was with a company called Gate One, which I would recommend to anybody. It was fantastic.
An American company, I assume, for the name.
I don't know that for a
Because
fact.
because nowadays in Europe everything is in English. It's absolutely ridiculous. Everything is in English.
Oh, this is going to be a weird summer because the Canadians and the Europeans
I'm not
are
coming.
not coming.
Which I say, I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
I am.
Stand up for your beliefs.
Yeah.
Harvard did that this week.
Yep,
Yeah.
And my new favorite hero, the governor of Maine.
yep.
Did you see the video?
No,
Who is the governor of Maine?
It's a
I
woman.
forgot her name,
Yeah.
but anyways.
She's a Democrat.
They had a luncheon at the White House, and Trump's talking. So he's doing his typical buffoonery where he's saying,
He's trying to embarrass her, right?
yeah, he did. He did try to embarrass her. He says, well, we are the federal government, and if you don't want to do what we said, and she didn't back that at all. She just said right out loud for everybody, I'll see you in court. She didn't bow to him at all. And I'm sitting there going, I gotta move to Maine to vote for this woman.
Yeah.
Talking about personal things, I'm very afraid when my daughter comes. She lives in Spain, I have told
Right.
you that. When she comes in summer, what is she going to do with her phone? Because now they grab
Oh.
your phone and they want to know about your life. And if you
Not
have-
everybody, but
They can, because they did it to one, they can do it to all.
Yes.
They're not going to do it to all because there's not enough people to do
now
that.
is she a dual citizen or,
Yeah, has an American passport.
but does she have a Spanish passport?
No.
No, she's not dual. So she's just an American citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she should have no trouble.
She
It's-
should,
yeah,
say
it-
point blank, no,
Yeah.
you can't have my
Yeah,
phone,
you-
period.
Yeah, if you're American,
Well,
although,
knowing her, she will
Yeah.
be obedient.
Not on that one, I'd say no. No?
anyway, it
It terrifies me because
it does.
I read, I don't remember where, that people are coming to attend the IMF spring meetings, the International Monetary Fund
Fund, yeah.
spring meetings now next week,
Where are they
Yeah.
coming to? What town? Or city?
Washington D.C.
Oh, okay.
They are coming from Europe,
Yep.
and the several of the attendees were told to bring not their computers,
Right.
not their phones,
Yep.
something bought specially empty for the event.
Right.
Yeah, get a
That's
burn,
telling you something.
get a
because
burner phone
It
that you're
is.
just gonna use here
that's the
and get rid
idea.
of it.
That's the idea. I
Yeah,
find
no,
that
it's,
very funny.
it's like, every day it's, you think, you don't think about it, because you're living your life, and go to the
I almost
grocery
And
don't
store.
we're
wanna
in
listen
Cape
to- I almost
Cod.
don't want to listen to the news anymore.
Oh my God, it's like you wake up in the morning, you're afraid to turn on the news, like what
Yep.
stupid thing has happened
Yeah.
since I was,
I read The Economist, and that poisons me enough. But I know about the world.
yeah,
I want to know about the world.
right,
Yeah, I know, but
yeah, it's stressful. It's like stepping through the looking glass, it's like how do we get here? It's like, I want to go home.
Yes. Where is it? Where is the U.S.? That's what I say. to
Where
myself.
happened?
It's not only that, the whole society is different. I mean, like, kids today can't read and write. They can't do script like this. They can't tell time from an analog clock. They
I
don't
need to
thank
turn-
you. If they get a $26,000 scholarship,
Yeah.
they don't send a thank you letter. They don't think it's necessary.
Right.
They don't understand any of the
Right.
etiquette that normal people would do. I don't know. When
Next meeting I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one, because I need to figure out what my days off are gonna be,
Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to be gone from the 5th.
and you're gonna be gone.
So, if he's not